Puff the magic cloud one floated in the sky with real bright shiny yellow thing that made him scratch his eyes. Then Nancy took a photo of Puff's gigantic tail and sealed it in an envelope and dropped it in the mail. But early the next morning the postman brought it back and simply told Miss Nancy all Puff needed was a nap. A cloud one's like a feather, so easily it flies, changing shapes and billowing into a greater size. People watch it moving, sliding gently through the sky, just wondering what he'll look like next, what kind of nice surprise. Puff the magic cloud one, way up in the sky, blinking at the yellow thing that made him scratch his eyes. Puff had a great idea. He would huff up all his stuff, and that would make him darker, and he'd start to feel real tough. Dark and tough now was our Puff. He slid quickly through the sky and covered up that yellow thing that made him scratch his eyes. Puff had never felt so tough. He looked so dark and rough, and deep inside he knew that he had gathered too much stuff. Now Puff he started rumbling, something quite new to him. He had covered up that yellow thing, and now he'd have to sing. When a cloud one starts a singing, everybody ought to run, 'cause what comes next straight out of him ain't fun for anyone. Yellow things flew everywhere and lifted Nancy's hair. One hit a tree quite close to her, and my, that was a scare. Now Puff, he wasn't happy, though he was so rough and tough. His old friends down below him had seen and heard too much. Running every way, they all were terrified, and when Puff saw what we had done, his eyes began to cry. A great ocean full of tears came pouring from the sky, and Puff he couldn't stop himself. He felt soon that he would die. Hour after hour, then 2 days in a row, the tears from Puff kept flowing till he had no more to show. Now Puff was so much lighter since all his tears were gone. That yellow thing behind our Puff was very bright and strong. A new wind came along and started pushing Puff along, and before we even noticed it, our old friend Puff was gone. Yes, Puff the magic cloud one floated in the sky with real bright shiny yellow thing that made him scratch his eyes. Then Nancy took a photo of Puff's gigantic tail and sealed it in an envelope and dropped it in the mail. But early the next morning the postman brought it back and simply told Miss Nancy all Puff needed was a nap.